Hello, everyone. Hello. I'll answer a couple questions. I'll plug what I need to plug. Plug what I need to plug. If you are in the Boston area or the Los Angeles, comments are here. Yeah, sometimes I can see them, sometimes I can't. If you're in Boston or LA, you want to come see my show, tickets are still available for a paper orchestra. I will be in Boston, in Amesbury, Massachusetts, actually. And I'll be there November 12th and 13th. There's still tickets. It's a small, intimate venue. The show asks, it's my one-man show, which asks the question, what if it's the smallest, almost forgotten moments that are the ones that shape us most? Sometimes people think like those big life-changing events are like winning the lottery or like getting into a car wreck or something. But that's not the case. Sometimes what happens to people if you're not in those things in your life? Does your life not change? Of course it does change. And so this is what I talk about in my show here. Tickets are available at MichaelJamin.com/live. Will I ever be in New York City? Oh, no, I will be in New York City. I just don't have a date for that yet. But what is your name? CKI? Give me a, DM me your email address and say New York City, or you can go to my website. You go to MichaelJamin.com/upcoming and let me know what city you're in and your email address, and I'll keep you posted. But what's your favorite TV show opening? Well, cheers. Bring a paper orchestra to Toronto. I would love to, Quinn, Lynn, Bruce. So I have a lot of people want me. Toronto must be a big theater town because a lot of people want to come to Toronto. So again, go to MichaelJamin.com/upcoming, or you could just DM me your email address and say Toronto, because I need to have a large list of people before I actually book any theaters there, because you don't want to do that. I don't want to go all the way across the border to find out no one wants to see my show. Greetings from Connecticut. Thank you. I'll be I might be doing a show in Westport at some point. Your relationship advice post nailed it. I stuck the landing. I certainly did. Toronto. Danny is from Toronto too. Yeah, well, go. Let me know. I said Toronto on one of my lives, and they would go, "No, it's not Toronto. It's Toronto." I was like, "Okay, it's Toronto." Is it? And it's also Calgary, and it's also Vancouver. Could you please give an example of pitching a joke in the writer's room? I don't know. What do you mean? You just pitch a joke. You just say, "What if the guy says this?" You know, you just pitch it. Well, what if she says this? And you say the line. You know, that's how you do it. Oh, I had an idea. Oh, you know what she should say? She should do this. But you don't say, "Oh, I have a joke." You would never do that. You don't want to tee it up, and you don't want to say, "Oh, I have something funny," and then everyone goes, "Yes." You just got to toss it off like it's nothing. Like it just came to you, and you don't care if people hate it. How do spinoffs work? If a network wanted to do a show of Dale, the network would either approach the creator of King of the Hill, or the creator would approach the network and say, "Hey, what about that? I'm thinking of spinning off a character." Usually the studio say, "Hey, let's spin off a character." And you go, "That's sure. I like money." What show do you think had the best writing? Roseanne, Home Improvement, or Full House? What other choices do you have? I would say Roseanne of the top of those three. Apply to Toronto Fringe for the summer as an international show. I didn't know Toronto had a Fringe festival. I did not know. I'll look that up. I did not know Toronto Fringe. Is it a big deal over there? I mean, we know there's one in Edinburgh. Come to Raleigh. Really, I would love to come to. I really would love to come to Raleigh. Simply, $2. So DM me your email address, or go to MichaelJamin.com/upcoming, because like I said, I'm not going to go to any city unless I have a large list of people to buy tickets, because like that's, you need a list. So when people say, "Come to my city," but then they don't give you your email address, I go, well, if they're not going to give me their email address, then they're not going to buy a ticket. So that's just how I have to look at it like that. Because even if let's say I get 100 email addresses, you got to understand maybe half will buy, so you need those names. I teach animation in Westport. Oh, well, maybe you'll come to my show if I do a show at the Westport. I just started taking a script class, and I've been following you to learn more. Thank you so much. Oh, good. Maybe you'll sign up for my course. I got a course at MichaelJamin.com/course. I'm in school for animation and motion. Oh, okay. Well, I don't teach that. I teach screenwriting. What is your favorite TV show? Oh, I don't know. Episode, I don't know. Should first-time staff writers get paid through loan out or individual? Individual. You're not going to make enough money to incorporate. I mean, unless you already have a corporation. But it costs a lot of money to incorporate, so you wouldn't want to do it for that. How do you feel about NBC's new program where TikTokers are the new writers for TV? That's not exactly what it is from what I suspect. I suspect they're going to ask these people to develop. They may team them up with known showrunners who can develop. And mostly, I suspect, I don't know this for a fact, I think it's probably because these people have a large audience. And so if someone has 5 million followers, NBC's like, oh, let's develop for them and they can promote their own show. And if a fraction of them watch the show, it'll be worth it. But that's probably what's going on. But I don't know. That's just my guess. The Triangle in North Carolina, Raleigh-Durham, Chapel Hill. Strong theater scene, trying to grow it more. Well, Eric Barstow, let me know your email address. This is good news. Maybe I don't know anything about that area. I'd love to do a show there, though. But so DM me your email address and say, say Raleigh or Durham, whatever you want. How do you mention another IP in a show or movie? Oh, I don't know. Great Fringe Fest, Toronto. I'll look that up. Awesome Fringe in Toronto. A lot of people are loving their fringes. Where in Westport? I'm not going anywhere in Westport yet. There's just someone reached out to me to see if I would do a show there. So maybe we'll explore it. I can bring 4 to Raleigh. Well, that's a good start. John, send me your email address. Go to Texas. I'd love to. Hey, Michael, thoughts on auteur TV series that are primarily written by one person, something like True Detective? I didn't know True Detective was written by one person. Most shows are written by a writing staff. I think, I don't know. If you had the knowledge that you had now, what is one project episode pitch you could have improved or changed altogether? Oh, I don't know. That's a deep question. Can comedy shorts lead to a successful career? Career is what? What are the biggest challenges for a full feature writer trying to write sitcoms? You have to break into the world of sitcom writing. I mean, it's a whole different thing. Learn how to write sitcoms. You could, you got a lot of challenges. Like it's like saying, what about becoming an ice skater? I don't know. You got to learn how to ice skate, I guess. Do you apply the story structure you teach in your course to approach personal essays? Sonia, thank you. That's a good question. Yes, kind of. Yes, for sure. But so when I teach in my course, as you know, when you're a television writer, everything is outlined. You break the story on the whiteboard first, and that process takes 3 to 5 days easily. It takes a team of writers 3 to 5 days. Then you write the outline. You get notes on the outline, then you write the script, notes on the script. It's very collaborative and very step by step by step. But when I write my personal essays, I do it a little differently. And so I don't break the story on the board and I don't outline. I just start writing. It's a very inefficient way to do it because there's a lot of waste. But I find it's more organic that way. That way it's more exploration. Like I said, it takes way longer to do it this way, but I find it more organic. But basically though, I mean, at this point I've been doing this so long, I don't, I know how to break a story, and so I know what a story is, and that's how I do it, but I probably wouldn't have been good at it had I tried to do this, like 30 years ago, I wouldn't be capable of writing it this way, but it's only because I have a lot of experience, I think I can do that. But certainly, if you were to study my stories, my personal essays, and study my show, like the screenplays that I've written, you'd go, okay, yeah, I see what he's doing here. It's not that far off. How do you feel about shows like Arrested Development that go against the grain and are an onslaught of storylines and running jokes, and how do they still fit a 3-act story structure? The story structure that's easy. They both fit. There's no question. They told you could break an Arrested Development. The only difference, what I found on Arrested Development, is like they really had all those running storylines and they would weave them together, and it's very labor intensive. And watching that show, I used to laugh my ass off, but I'd also think, man, those poor writers, they must be there 24/7 because it just requires more work. That's all. And that's how it was on that show. Like those writers worked really crazy hours. Yeah. So brilliant, but really no different. Would you say a script is better than sending a mini Bible to executives? I know it depends on the person, but generally wondering which I should put my concentration into with my deadline. Okay, Danny, you're not trying to sell this thing. It's not going to sell. Get that out of your head. It's a writing sample. And so the writing sample is like, this is how you represent yourself for a chance to maybe pitch a show or to get on staff of something. So it's a writing sample. I'm not big on you trying to sell a mini Bible. I don't think that's going to open the doors. Not for a stranger off the street. You want to prove that you know how to write first. If you can't write, they're not going to let you pitch. They're not going to hear your pitch. They're not going to want to know about your Bible. They want to know, do you know how to write? And everyone skips this step. Everyone's like, oh, of course I do. You don't. Well, not you, but you don't. I read a lot of scripts, and the vast, vast majority of people, even people who have representation, do not know how to write, even though they have an agent or manager. And then when you find a script that's well written, it jumps out. You're like, oh, thank God. Here's somebody who knows how to write. Don't skip that step. I'm a freelance editor and trailer maker. I'm curious what the charge. TikTokers should just do a version of okay. These are just Fleabag. Okay. I don't know what that. How much do people average charge for trailers and show design? I don't know. Warner Brothers canceled their writers program. Yeah, they did. I was in the writers program there many years ago. They canceled it, but they brought it back the next day. But it's now going to be a diversity writers program. So just for diverse people. How much of a well-directed film such as The Shining is tributes to the script? Do writers insert intentional shots that have layered meanings? No, you wouldn't do that in a script. That would be awful to read. That's not your job. Your job is to... See what's going on here? No one wants to do the job of writer. They want to do every other job. They want to be the director. They want to be the salesperson. No one wants to write. Because why? Because writing is freaking hard. Do the job of the writer. My question is, how are you today? Doing good. Thank you, Nicholas. PA versus writer assistant, is one better experience opportunity than the other? Yes, writer assistant is much better. The closer, if you want to be a writer, the closer you are to the job that you want, the better. But the problem is you can't get the job of a writer's assistant. It's not an entry-level job. Production assistant is an entry-level job. Writer's assistant, you have to train to be. So you want to know the secret? I've been a TV writer for 26 years. I've been a showrunner on 3 different shows. I am not trained to be a writer's assistant. I don't know how to do that job. Understand? I don't know how to do it. So, there. I don't want to know how to do it either. You can't just walk into it. What is the project you've worked on that you're most proud of? That'd be this one. That's a paper orchestra. Oh, and if you're just joining, go get your tickets now. I'll be in Boston, Amesbury, Massachusetts, November 12th and 13th for my show. Then back in LA, December 10th and 11th to do 2 more shows in LA. Those shows, the LA shows are, I don't know how the tickets are doing in Boston, but the LA, because that's not on my website, but the LA shows, they're getting close to selling out. So please go get them before you, if you want to come see the LA show, get them now, because that's still 2 months away and they're going. But of course the Boston show is going to be cool. What's your experience with people, and it's all new material in the LA show. The Boston show will be new for Boston people because they haven't seen it before. What's your experience with people who receive scripts, often taking ideas and premises and running with them with other writers? I don't even know what that means, Jake. I don't know what that means. I love how straightforward you are, and you are not wrong. I've learned lessons the hard way. Yeah, Krista. Thank you. Yeah, some people, you're smart, because some people take offense to what I have to say. All right. Don't listen to me then, I'm just telling you from my experience, and maybe someone else has a different experience. When is morally okay to have a character in your script slip a banana peel? When is it morally okay? I followed Michael's advice to put my work on YouTube. It's the best way I know to get my work seen. It's been a game changer. All right, Greg, that's awesome, man. See? Greg is changing the game. True facts. I love how straightforward you are, and we did that already. How much would you charge to read and critique my feature film? I wouldn't. You know why? That would expose me to liability. I would charge you a lot, to be honest, because think about it. I'd charge you a lot. Think about it. I have to read your script. That's 2 hours. I got to write up notes. That's another hour. I got to get on the phone. I got to talk to you for another hour. That's 4 hours of work. Think how much my hourly rate must be. Anazia. But you can take I have a screenwriting course, which I think is a far better value, because I would just be repeating so I'm going to read your script, right? I'm going to give you notes, and then I'm just going to repeat everything I said in my course. And you're going to be like, why didn't I just take the course? And most people don't want to do that. They just think they're the exception. They want personalized, and I'm like, I've done this long enough to know that everyone thinks they're different, and none of you guys are. Just and it would be embarrassing. Like, just learn how to write a script first before you start handing it out. I always say this, and I'm not bagging on you, but everyone's in such a hurry to prove that they don't know what they're doing. You want to save up. You only have one chance to impress somebody, to make a great first impression, and everyone wants to blow it. This is what I was like when I was starting out years ago. I was not in a hurry to tell the world how bad I was. I was not in a hurry. I wanted to keep that a secret as long as possible. Thanks a lot. See how I call it like it is? Enjoy the day. Thank you, Nate. Awesome. Will you be filming your show? No. You know why? Because it's theatrical. It's meant to be seen live with people. It's not meant to be a TV show. I am a TV writer. I don't want to make a TV show. This is a theatrical show. That's different. It's a whole different experience. If I wanted to make a TV show, I'd make a TV show. But I don't want to do that. I want to make it a theatrical experience. Nope. Straightforward. I'm not active in the course Facebook group yet, but I got to say I love writing much more. Thanks, by the way. You break everything down. I've got 7 pilots and 2 specs beaten out, and I'm loving it. Oh, good. Yeah, Jeffrey's in my course. So, get active in the Facebook group, because these guys they're doing, I have a private Facebook group, my screenwriting course, and these guys are trading scripts. They're doing table reads. These guys they're going to be going places. It's one of these things like you are the company you keep, and they're all very serious about it. And that rising tide raises, all boats. So get active in that group. They're smart people. When writing dialogue, how can you use dialogue that can naturally progress a story while still being entertaining to listen to? All right, well, Mr. Nathan 15. First of all, you said dialogue twice. You wouldn't want to do that when writing dialogue. It just hits the ear wrong. When writing dialogue, how can you use dialogue that can naturally progress a story while still being entertaining to listen to? So what you wrote here is not natural, and it's not entertaining to listen to. You hit the word dialogue twice, and it's kind of a little bit, it's kind of a little bit off, it's a little bit off message. So even work on this. Even when you're working on, she said Facebook group with a bunch of guys. Yeah, a lot of smart women, by the way. When I say the Facebook group is full of guys, guys are women. Women are, it's gender neutral guys. Anyway, so work on your question like that. Think of a way to make that question sound more natural, Mr. Nathan. Really, I'm not trying to pick on you. Think about rephrasing that to make it sound more natural, and that will improve your dialogue skills. Meaning, have you seen people on an existing show receive a script or submission packet, take some of the ideas, but not the writers attached to it and using it? Okay, no, I've never seen this. So when I'm on a show, there are no submission packets. We don't read scripts from strangers off the street. So we would never steal anybody's ideas. We don't even look at them. We don't get them. We don't look at them. If someone were to send me a script unsolicited, I don't look at it. I delete it immediately, and I write back, you do this again and I'll block you. Why? Because it exposes me to liability, because I don't want somebody accusing me of stealing their ideas simply because they emailed me something, which I didn't look at. So I say to people, you got one warning. I go, you never do this again to me. This is my tip for you guys, never ever send out unsolicited material. The people who are on the other end, they have to ask for it. You ask them, may I send you something? And the answer will be yes or no. Never, ever send anything without their permission, because you'll burn a bridge so fast. Yeah, okay. Everyone thinks they're different, but none of you are. Oh, yeah. I mean, yeah, what can I tell you? Have I seen Bo Burnham's special Inside? I've seen 2 of his specials, but I don't remember if I saw that one. Would prefer to work in a writing room via Zoom or in person? What is better in your opinion? I like working on Zoom because the hours are better. But to be honest, it's more effective to be in person. It's just more effective. But that's just how it is. Refilming, not saying a TV show. What about Derek Delgadio's film or Spalding Gray? Well, I saw Derek Delgadio's In and of Itself. I think I watched it 3 times. Loved it. Or Spalding Gray. Yeah, right. Spalding Gray filmed it, right. It still would have been more powerful to see it in person. I'm certain of it. I'm certain seeing, he's dead now, but it would have been a more powerful experience to see it in person. But I'll be touring with it. And Jeremy, I don't know where you live, but you want to DM me your email address, and the minute I get to your city, you'll come see it, Yeah. I'm not saying I won't if I sold it to Netflix or something, of course I'd film it, but I'm not going to live stream it. I'm not going to half-ass it, okay? And Derek Delgado didn't half-ass it either. It was directed by Frank Oz, so, They send them to me, and I write and produce and direct my own stuff. What's your favorite show at the moment? I don't know. Do you ever use a pitch deck? I don't call it pitch decks, but we have a pitch document. Yeah. What's the latest you've figured out a story? What's the latest you figured out a story when on a show's weekly production schedule? You don't write it. Well, that's not true. Sometimes you have to. It doesn't work it doesn't really work that way. You write these things weeks in advance. It's a long process. If you were to write a show, hold on, I'm going to plug in my light here. If you were to wait that long, it's because it's disaster struck. If you were to finish a script and then shoot it tomorrow, that's a poorly run show and disaster has struck. That would be really bad. Here we go. I'm going to turn on the lights in a minute. This is amazing. What is amazing? What is amazing? Barubi Films. This may be dumb, but do both the A and B story require a full set of story beats? That is dumb. Hold on. No, it's not dumb. But I taught you. I go over it in the course. Maybe you skip that part. But yeah, you got to break everything out. I mean, a B story is lighter. It doesn't have as much. It doesn't have the emotional weight, and it probably has. It takes up less camera time, so you wouldn't have as many beats. You wouldn't have as many beats. But I wouldn't write it unless I knew what the hell. I wouldn't start writing unless I knew what it was about. How do you deal with writers in a room that are too attached to their own idea, or does that never happen? No, that happens. That definitely happens, and usually they get fired. Honestly, they get fired. Your job as a writer in a writer's room, and I'm going to plug my show again. Your job in the writer's room is not to fight. It's not to promote your ideas. Your job is to make the best possible show that the showrunner wants to make. Not the show you want to make. That's how you get fired. It's not your show. It's the showrunner's show. They sold it. They created it. It's their show. So you don't get to fight for anything unless you want to be unemployed. I've seen it happen. They get fired. On the last show I just did in Tacoma, I pitched a storyline that the showrunner Steve and Kevin, great guys. I pitched them a storyline, and Kevin did. Steve liked it, but Kevin didn't. But all the other writers were like, "This is great. Let's do it." And I could feel they were pressuring Kevin, and I said, "Whoa! I don't want to pressure Kevin to do something he doesn't want to do." And I said, "Hey, man, what exactly about the idea don't you like?" And he took a second. And he explained to me what he didn't like. I go, okay. And then I thought about it. And I came back 10 minutes later. I go, what if we did it this way? And he goes, oh, I like that. Done. I gave him what he wants. So my job's not to pressure anybody. My job is to give him what he wants. That's how I keep my job. How long do pitch meetings usually last? 30 minutes. 30 minutes. You don't want to go more than that. You bore them. What was the last self-discovery or epiphany you had on writing? I'm not really sure I understand what you mean by that. I'm sorry. I wish I could give you something smart to say for me, but I don't really know. Epiphany on writing? I don't know. Thoughts on how to pass your work to writers, showrunners after being introduced, especially when coming from another role in the industry? Oh, well, you have to, again, unsociable David, ask them and just say, hey, if you work for them in some capacity, I'd love to get your, say, hey, I wonder if I could get your feedback on this. And as a professional courtesy, they will probably do it, if they like you, if you've been a pain in the ass. But it doesn't sound like you're a pain in the ass. It sounds like because you've thoughtfully expressed concern, it doesn't sound like you're that kind of person who would step on toes, just judging by your comment. So I think you could just ask them, hey, but you have to put in your time. If you've only been working there for 3 months, don't ask. If you've been there a year or two, now you can ask. It's okay. But not if you just got there, you know? Okay. What do you think of sitcoms being made into movies? Bob's Burgers. Is a common goal amongst showrunners? I wouldn't say it's a goal. It's an opportunity to make more money. It's not like we ever think of... I didn't know they were going to do a community movie. Hey, we can make some money. That's all. It's not really a goal. Have you written for a stop motion film? I've written for stop motion television, not for film. I've done a... Here we go. Just since you asked, this is stop motion. This is a show my partner ran called Glenn Martin DDS. That's Kevin Nealon in the back. And these are the actual puppets that they use for stop motion. They're quite big, as you can see. Oh, someone just submitted me. Yeah, if you want to come see my show, if you're in Boston or Los Angeles, I have 2 shows coming up. In Boston, I'll be in Amesbury, Massachusetts. I'll be there November 12th and 13th. 2 shows in Amesbury, and then 2 shows in Los Angeles, December 10th and 11th at the Atwater Village. And tickets are now on sale at MichaelJamin.com/live. It's about an hour-long show, followed by a Q&A with me. I'll be there answering questions, and we talk about the work, we talk about writing, we talk about anything you want to talk about. And people loved it. I did 6 shows in August, sold them all out. People came back for more. Same people came back for more, so maybe you'll come see me. How does someone who doesn't own the rights to a film, for example, Creed, which was a Rocky sequel, even get produced, especially since Creed was written by a rookie screenwriter? I don't know the history of it. I really don't. And I don't really work in film. I don't work in film, so I'm not the best person to talk about that. What immediate signs in a writer's style or work make you say, hey, this writer's pretty good, I think I'll keep reading? Oh, if they know how to start the story. Most writers do not start the story fast enough. I'll tell you this, Dan, if I'm reading, and I teach this in my course, if this should be important to you, it's a smart question. If I get to page 3 to 5 and the story hasn't begun, next. If I'm reading bad, the dialogue is clammy, if the idea is not fresh, next. If that seems unfair to you, you're the same way when you watch a TV show. You're no better. You're just as cruel as I am. If you're watching a show and the story hasn't started fast enough, you'll change the channel. You get bored. If the dialogue doesn't seem fresh, you'll cringe. You'll change the channel. I teach all this in the course if you want to look into it, MichaelJamin.com/course. When a show you work on is being released, do you keep up with the IMDb user scores and has been viewed by the public? No, I don't even know that was a thing. So the answer is no. Or reviews, I don't like to read reviews. Do you do beats before writing your script? Yes, and that's what I teach in my writing course. We break the story. Love that your wife directed your show. How was that experience? She's still directing my show. Do you approach the process differently because of this? Did you learn anything new about each other or the craft? Well, we rehearse almost every night. I'm debating if I want to rehearse tonight. And she's always trying to pull more out of the performance and get me to discover new things about the performance. I'm not an actor by training, so I'm learning basically acting, even though acting and writing are so similar. And so that's what that experience is like. It's basically the writing is very truthful, and the question is how to get my performance to be as truthful as the writing. And I'm very grateful for her because this is not something I could do on my own. We can speak to me working with you. Okay, she just sent me a text. I don't know what she wants me to do. We'll make a video of that, I guess. Is that what she's saying? I would watch that Glenn Martin show in Spanish years ago. Didn't know you wrote on that show. Oh, I didn't know they had it in Spanish. Yeah, my partner and I were the head writers. We were the executive producers, head showrunners of Glenn Martin DDS. Maybe you'll recognize this guy. That's me. They made a puppet out of me. And that's my daughter. They made a puppet out of my daughter. Yeah, I was a Secret Service agent in one scene. After all this time, does writing still do it for you beyond just the money? Well, Mark, that's a smart question. That's why I took this project on, A Paper Orchestra, because what people don't understand, Mark Hennick, is that as a professional screenwriter, I don't write what I want to write. I write what people pay me to write or what I think I can sell. But the idea of writing something just for me without notes, without getting feedback, without pleasing a producer or whatever, I wanted to try something. I wanted to do that. I wanted to write what I can write. I want to see what that would feel like. And without someone telling me what I should do, I wanted to know what it felt like, just like, hey man, write what I want to write, the way I want to write it. And to be honest, when I first started writing these, it's a collection of personal essays, and I hope you'll come see me. When I first started writing it, it was like, the analogy I have is like, I'm a racehorse. I got a jockey on my back, and they have me running around a track, and they're slapping me faster, faster. And I've been running this direction my entire career. And then when I started, the jockeys, the studio, or an actor or a producer or whatever, when I started writing these stories, it was like running without a jockey on my back in a field. I could go anywhere I want to go. I could go as fast or as slow as I want to do. And it was freeing, and it was also a little scary. It was also like, well, how do I do this? I'm used to having someone beat me all the time. And then you enjoy it more, and then you're flying. And so it was to me, this is my best work. And I've done some good work. This is my best work. So it's my most authentic, my most honest, and I know it is because, when I do these shows, you can hear people laughing, and then about halfway through, the people stop laughing, and then you can hear a pin drop, and then you hear the crying, And so that's what I love about this. And I can't do this on TV. I can't do this show on TV. I can't write like this. No one wants me to do it. So that's why I think this is worth coming to see. I really enjoy your live streams. Thank you, Vufkup. Is a paper orchestra a theatrical show or a more informative teaching seminar? No, Dan, Dan Brookwell. It's a theatrical. It's a one-man show. It's not me teaching. But I do think you can learn, if you're an aspiring writer, you can learn a lot because they're personal essays. And you can see, each one of these shows could easily be an episode of television if I wanted to write it that way. But I don't. I want it to be different. So one of my little goals as I was writing this was I didn't want anyone to think it was written by a sitcom writer. I wanted it to feel different. I wanted it to feel deeper. And so that's what a paper orchestra is. It's a show. It's a one-man show. It's not a teaching seminar. Ever work with Leslie Jordan? Oh, yes, I did. I worked with him twice. I was a PA on a show called Hearts of Fire that he was on. And I was also, this is a long time ago, I also wrote episode of Lois and Clark, which he was also on. But that's it. This is kind of a long time ago. What about something like The Simpsons, where the first few minutes are seemingly unrelated to the rest of the episode, but contribute to the episode plot later on? The Simpsons is a very odd structure, so they don't usually start the story until the first act break. In other words, you could lop off Act 1 of The Simpsons and not miss a thing. You could in other words, you could cut it off the script, and then it really has nothing to do with the story. That's something that they've managed to do, although maybe they don't even do it anymore. I haven't watched The Simpsons in probably 20 years. This is how they did it at one point. But I would not recommend you or anyone else to write like that. That's something that they can get away with somehow. How much emphasis is there on premiere nights of episodes that you've written? Do you ever have a couple people over for a watch party? I did on the first time I wrote... and by the way, I should mention, it's very sad that Leslie Jordan died. He obviously had a big TikTok channel, where he became beloved after, during the pandemic, I think. Even before then, more so during the pandemic. So it's very sad, very tragic. From all accounts, everyone who knew him loved him. He was a sweet man. Anyway, so premiere night, I had a premiere on the first time. I've only did it once. The very first time I sold an episode of TV. After that, I don't. And now they don't even have premieres. They kind of just drop everything all at once. Has a show you've created had a target audience in mind, but ends up being completely different once it airs? Not really. Or if it is, I don't know. I don't really know. Guess you're rehearsing tonight. I guess I am. Are those puppets from latex with ball and socket armatures? I've never taken it apart, so I don't know. I've heard of you can do comedy. You can do drama and suspense. Do you have any interest in crossing genres? I've heard of you can do. Well, I'm a comedy writer. My show Paper Orchestra is a comedy and drama at times, but I don't have interest in being a drama writer on television. That doesn't interest me. Although I've written dark comedies. What are the hardest decisions to make when editing a show down to 21 minutes? Yeah, sometimes you got to kill your favorite stuff, but that's, that comes with the territory. The term showrunner is a term you hear a lot in Hollywood nowadays, but it's considered a rather new term. Were these people simply considered executive producers back in the day? I don't think it's a new term. I've heard the term showrunner for at least 30 years, so it may be new to you. Yeah. Do you have any interest in crossing? Oh, we did that. Congratulations. Are you bringing the show to Atlanta? Christow, I would love to. Krista, DM me if I have enough people in Atlanta. I'll get there at some point, I hope. So just DM me your email address and I'll keep it posted. I'm not going to spam you. Are samples of a paper orchestra available to read on your website? I have one story and I'd like to update it on my website. If you go to Michael Jamin, I need to tweak it. I have tweaked it since. Yes, you could read a sample story at michaeljamin.com/story, I think. The way you speak is great. Thank you, that bastard, Jim. Confident, booming. Has this also always been the case or a result of experience and success? Oh, I don't know. I don't know. I haven't given that any thought. Has it been always? Is it the result of experience and success? I don't know. There are people. I don't want to name names. Successful writers who I find quite boring when they speak. So I guess it doesn't come with success. I don't know. That doesn't mean they're bad writers. It just means you listening to them makes them. It's really hard to listen to them. So you want to read their words. Would you see writing as manipulating the feelings of the audience, hopefully in the best ways? No, I don't think you want to manipulate your audience. I disagree, Mark. They'll see through that. They'll see through that. They'll feel manipulated. If you're authentic, then you can move people. But I don't see it as manipulating. No. I'm currently watching The Comeback on HBO, and it gives a glimpse on sitcoms. Have you ever had a situation where actors are difficult to work with and it affected the production? Yes. Have I ever had one? I've had lots of them. Although I've never seen The Comeback. Does a writer have a presence on set, or are you off addressing rewrites or next episodes while the crewmen and actors are filming? Dan, there's always at least one writer on set at all times. Always. Sometimes it's the showrunner, sometimes it's the proxy for the showrunner. How differently do you approach a dark comedy versus sitcom? It's just less jokey. It's less. I'm referring to a show my partner and I ran called Marin. It wasn't jokey. We wouldn't go for laughs. Only occasionally we would throw a line that seemed a little jokey, but for the most part, I'll get the Atlanta Industry to come out and support you, Krista. All right. Still waiting on your DM, on your email, Krista. Or you can go to michaeljamin.com/upcoming if you feel like you don't want to DM it to me. But I do need a list because I won't travel without a list. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like I said earlier, if I don't have a certain number of people on my email list, I'm not going to sell tickets. That's how you sell tickets. Have you appeared on anyone else's podcast that we can check out? Yeah, Jeffrey. If you can go to my website, and there's michaeljamin.com, and there's a list of episodes where I've appeared on other people. There's a list of other shows that I've appeared on, as a guest. But I have my own podcast, just so you know, called Screenwriters Need to Hear This. And you can listen to that anywhere, you can go to michaeljamin.com/podcast for a list of where you can find my podcast. But it's everywhere, Does your course teach pitching techniques? Are there any tips or stories on how to improve pitching concepts to executives? I believe there's a section on that, but it doesn't focus on that at all, because you are not going to, Dan, everyone's skipping that step. Don't skip the important stuff, Dan. You're not going to earn the right to pitch to someone unless your script is fantastic. So you need a sample script that you hand out that people will read and they go, this guy, Dan, he can write. And then you can go in and pitch. But you don't everyone skips the step. You can't fool someone into buying your show. You can't razzle-dazzle your way into having someone giving you a check for $200,000. It doesn't work that way. Don't skip that step. I know I cover like what's expected in a pitch and stuff like that. I have a whole section on that, but that's not the goal. The goal is how to write. That's the goal. This might be and I don't cover that at all on my Instagram page. I don't, like, everyone's like, man, you guys, you're giving away gold here. And I think I am, but the real gold, you got to pay for it. That's the how to be a good writer. I talk about the industry here, and I give you tips and stuff to, coax good stuff out of you. But the real gold is in the course. I saved that. This might be a subjective question, but do you think it's worth it to go to film school or to school for writing, or go ahead and jump in the industry if given a chance? You do not need a degree in film writing. The degree is worthless. The education might be worth quite a bit, but that depends on who's teaching you. You can go to a school. If you have a bad teacher, you're screwed. So it's the same thing I say with my writing course. Find out who's teaching you. In case you can watch you know me now. Do I sound like I know what I'm talking about? If I don't take my class. Same thing with if you were to sign up for someone else's course or enroll in a university. Who's the teacher? What have they done? Nothing? Maybe they're not the best person to learn from. Stuff like that. Or you could read their work and you go, this sucks. Why would you want to learn from them? Season 4 finale of Breaking Bad definitely manipulated you. Well, I don't feel that way. What was the process of you going from PA to writer? Would you do everything the same if you had to do it again? Well, yeah. It worked out fine. But basically, I was an assistant on a show for a couple of years to these producers. They wound up running Lois and Clark. I asked them if I could pitch them with my partner an episode. They were very kind. They let us pitch. We gave them 5 ideas. They liked one. Woo! Thank God they bought that one, and we sold that. But then later on, I got on Just Shoot Me through my agent. How do you tackle the question, "Who is your audience?" when you're pitching? Referring to an age, rate, gender seems too broad. No, you do. When I pitch a sitcom, I don't know who the audience is. I don't know. I write sophisticated adult comedies. I know it's not for teenagers. I know it's not for children. It's an adult comedy. And if the network won't buy it, if they don't think it's right, they know their audience better than me. And my manager or agent will set up the meeting, and they say, "Here's an idea. Do you want to hear it?" And they say, based on the one-liner, they go yes or no. If they don't think it's going to fit their audience, they won't hear the pitch. So I don't go in with demographics. What do I know? What do I know? That's their job. That's their job to decide if my idea will fit their audience. I can't tell them that. They know their audience better than I do. Ain't that a kicker? Were your animated projects storyboard driven? Not storyboard driven, no, but sometimes we had storyboards. No, nothing is storyboard driven. You're saying that means the animator's in charge. No, everything I do, the writer's in charge. So sometimes we have storyboards, sometimes we skip that step and go straight to animatic. Just a heads up, couldn't find your podcast on Stitcher. Really? I'll have to look for it. It's supposed to be on Stitcher. I'll look for it right now. Stitcher. Got to spell Stitcher right. Got to write my screenwriters need to hear this. I'll check it out. I know I'm on Apple Podcasts. I'll double check with Phil. When you're writing an original concept television show, do you write with an audience in mind, or is that the last thing you're thinking about? I don't really know. When you're writing an original concept television, do you write? I write what I want to watch, and I hope people will agree with me. But I always keep my audience in mind. But they're not in the room, and I don't really know. I go, what's good? What do I think is good? I couldn't possibly get into the mind of a million fictitious people, I love Just Shoot Me. I used to watch it with my mom. Sweet. Yeah, that was a good show. What are your recommendations for a non-writing producer who wants to work in a narrative series? Good luck. Good luck. You got to bring something to the table. Garcia Films, what do you bring to the table? You got to bring an idea. You got to bring talent. You got to bring a well-known showrunner. You don't just to get to glom your way in. You have to bring a lot to the table. I did my podcast interview with Jim Serpico has already been up. He was the producer of Marin, but he also produced a lot of other shows, including Rescue Me and all those shows with Kevin. What's his face? Anyway, so go listen to that podcast. With Jim Serpico. That'll help. Read in the New York Times last week and about Matthew Perry's addiction during Friends. Does an actor's personal life or health ever impact how you'd write for them? Yeah, if they can't stand up, for sure. Yeah, absolutely. I've written for, if they can't move, can someone prop them against the wall? I wouldn't write, I never wrote for him, but I certainly wouldn't do anything where he required to do anything more than sit on a couch if he can't sit up straight because he's too drugged up. But I've written for other actors who were elderly and who had trouble with their lines, and then you really are paring it back because they can't remember all that. You have to be cognizant of what and even if actors who are sober and straight, some actors can't do certain kinds of, they can't play certain colors, so you don't write that for them. You write towards their strengths. Okay, and for people who just tune in, tickets are on sale at michaeljamin.com/live for my show, A Paper Orchestra. If you're in the LA area, go get the tickets, December 10th and 11th. And I'll be in the Boston area, Amesbury, Massachusetts, November 12th and 13th. We're getting ready for that. So come see me. How does a story by credit differ from my regular writing credit? Story by just means you are given you wrote basically the outline. And teleplay means you actually wrote the dialogue in the first draft. Have you written any holiday specials? Is it fun change of pace? We did a holiday special on Glenn Martin, DDS, and it was really cute. It was a fun one, but it's harder. I think it's harder because everything's already been done, so you have to put a fresh spin on it. But that was a fun holiday episode, yeah. Mel Brooks guest starred on that one. I directed Mel Brooks. No kidding. What made you choose comedy writing over drama? I'm a comedy writer. What made me choose? I'm a comedy writer. I write funny stuff. Did you ever encounter imposter syndrome? If so, are there any coping mechanisms? Dan, when you first start out, everyone is an imposter. If you enter the job, I don't care what job you have, whether it's actor, writer, director, painter, sculptor, musician, whatever, you are an imposter until you have. When you start off, if you do not have imposter syndrome, you are pathological. You're a sociopath to think that you know what you're doing so well when you're starting off on anything. So we all have it, and anyone who's worked at Dan who you admire, if they're being honest, they had imposter syndrome, unless they're sociopaths. Because how could you not? How could you not step foot in a creative thing, a creative venture, and think, oh, I'm amazing. I'm professional caliber. How could you possibly think that when you've never done it? How could you possibly think that you're working at a professional caliber level if you've never done it before? There you go. I think it was Ken Levine, I've worked with him, by the way, who said that Kelsey Grammer used to ooze onto the set, but then snap into character and ooze out when he was done. I worked with Kelsey a couple times, but when he was directing, and I didn't have that experience with him, but he was a director then, so I don't know. Thanks again. Go right now. Okay. What movie or show have you recently watched that you really enjoyed? I watched this independent, was it a Danish film or was it Norwegian? What was it? It was a foreign film. Okay, it's a foreign film called Force Majeure, which I thought was really wonderfully written. I watched that the other night. Why is Hollywood so hard to break into? Because everyone wants to do it and everyone thinks they can, and most people can't. But most people, Whitney, would saw off their arm to break into Hollywood. They would give their mother's left toe to break into Hollywood and work for free. So that's why it's hard. Everyone wants to do it. And not many people can. But everyone wants to. And everyone thinks they're entitled to. What about me? Have I done stand-up? Yeah, in college I did. What is your opinion on Seinfeld that only used a 2-act structure? I don't know if Seinfeld used a 2-act structure or not. I wasn't there for the breaking of it. I really don't know. I don't know, how do you know it used to 2-act structure? I've written 2-act structure before on Just Shoot Me. We told it in 2 acts. Personally, I think 3 acts makes a lot more sense. I think it's a lot easier to understand. I think it feels better. Everything feels better in 3s. That's why, a priest, a nun, and a rabbi walk into a bar. Da-da-da-da-da-da. It's 3. 3 feels good. The Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost. They knew what Christianity knew what they were doing. It's 3. It's always, the 3 feels better. What tips do you have for comedians? Be funny. Have something to say. What's something you've watched and thought that was really clever? I don't know. A lot of things, I guess. You've mentioned that it's important for writers to learn about acting. What ways do you recommend we learn? Improv sessions, interviews, courses, everything. Take an acting class. Everything. There's no wrong way. There's no wrong way. All of that. All of that, Jeffrey. Should we hold you responsible for David Spade? I worked with David Spade twice, once on Just Shoot Me and then once on Rules of Engagement. And he's a pro and very funny and really great at what he does. Easy to work with. Great guy. I wish you could hold me responsible, but I can't take credit for his success. Understand? Oh, did I get to the end? Tips on how to show characters important backstories without bombarding the audience with flashbacks. Don't do that because, backstory is not that interesting. It's happened years ago. I'd limit that. I would severely limit it. Do the skills required for writing books translate to writing scripts? A story is story. If you're going to write a book is just a story on pages. A screenplay is a story for a large screen. A teleplay is a story for a small screen. But it's still story. I'll answer a couple more, then I'm going to bounce off here. Okay, yeah, I did already. Okay, I answered all those questions. Okay, everyone, thank you so much. I'm now going to bounce off. Again, if you want to see me come to your town, I won't go there unless I have your email address. Sorry, because like I said, and I'd love to have you come to my show, but if someone's not willing to give me their email address, they ain't willing to fork over their hard-earned clams to come see my show. So I know a lot of people say, hey, come to my town. But without that email address, I ain't coming to your town. Telling you right now, I ain't coming. I'm no fool. I think. All right, everyone. Thank you so much. Until the next one, be safe.